All right. Welcome, everybody, to our June 11th Eco-Friendly Rotary Club meeting. If you want to unmute, we'll begin with the four-way test. So if you're familiar with that, you can be ready for it. So of the things we think, say, and do, is it the truth?
Is it
Is it
truth?
fair to
Fair to all
all
concerned.
concerned? Will it
Will
Son?
it
build
build goodwill
goodwill
and
and
better
better friendships?
friendships?
Will
Will
it
it
be
be
beneficial
beneficial
to
to all
all concerned?
concerned?
All right, rock and roll.
Isn't
Um,
Kimberly just back from Singapore?
Singapore? Yeah, I think so.
Singapore and a bunch of other places, but I have a horrible cough, so I have to mute.
Yeah.
All right.
Hope you feel better.
I'm the speaker next week, so I hope I'll be better.
Awesome.
So I'm going to mute now because this is annoying for everybody, including me.
Okay. We hope you feel better soon. Um, well, let's go ahead and jump right in. We have our speakers on the call, but what we'll do is we'll start with first our normal process. So, Ina, thank you for joining. We're just going to do a couple of fun things. If you want to participate, please feel free. So let's go ahead and begin with announcements. Is there anything for the good of the order? Did anybody go to the event last weekend at Merritt Island by any chance? I don't think so. Yeah. Okay. Well, we had a pet president-elect in training conference, and that I presume went very well. I'm sorry that I couldn't make it. I had some things I had to do, but besides that, if there's any other announcements, let me know. We'll jump right in and we'll talk about let's do let's do birthdays and anniversaries. We'll shake it up a little bit. Birthdays and anniversaries. Go ahead, Mike.
Yes. My grandson uh, Brody was born on the same uh, day, so to speak, as Ailish, June 16th, Bloomsday. Will be 16, and that's a pretty big deal. We're here in Washington with him, and actually, we'll be in Utah at a soccer tournament.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, for all the dads out there, we got Father's Day coming up this weekend in the US. I don't know if
Right.
it's everywhere. I think it's international, right? Mother's
Right.
Day's got different dates for different countries, but I think Father's Day is the same. My birthday is this weekend coming up, so I'll put my age I'll put my age in a donation next Tuesday to celebrate my birthday. Um, and let's see, how about sad bucks? Sad bucks. Oh, good. That's good. That's great. Happy bucks. I'll kick one off for you guys. Happy bucks. I have been kicking around the idea of becoming an entrepreneur once again and getting a startup going. And I met with investors this past weekend. Things went pretty darn well. So I'm hoping I'm going to get that kicked off in the next couple of weeks, and I'll keep everybody posted on what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. But I was pretty excited about that. So I got five happy bucks I'll throw in the kitty for that
I
one.
know some lady that won the Preakness, and she might have some extra money. Her horse won the Preakness.
She's probably not on the call. I think she wrote me earlier. She's not on the call though. Yeah. Any other happy bucks? All right, cool. Okay, well, with that, we'll not to rush in, but with that, we'll go ahead and introduce our speaker and say hello to our speaker. Um, I've actually been looking around for interesting topics, Ina, for some time, and when I saw your organization, when I saw your company, it immediately piqued my interest. And so, for everybody on the call, I've been kind of chasing Ina around to get some ideas and to share some information with us for a while. But very very happy to introduce Ina Henderson. And Ina, you're going to tell us a little bit about what you do and what your organization does, and I think it'll be very much in line with our club values and things like that. And then after this, maybe we can follow up and talk about ways that we can maybe work together, or how can we help you to co-brand or whatever the things you might want us to do. We're happy to do it. So welcome, Ina, to our call.
Thank you very much. We're originally based in St. Petersburg, Florida. Right now, I'm in Germany, though, on my yearly vacation, which you might be able to hear from my accent. I'm German. So as soon as summer break starts, I take the kids and we go to the grandparents for a couple weeks. I do have a PowerPoint. It's like I know I was out in the afternoon, so I probably didn't tell you in time that I do have a PowerPoint that I can share, since it's usually a little easier to grasp what I'm talking about with some pictures. It's not very long, but if you don't mind, I would share my screen. Um,
I think
and
I think you should have all the
introduce
privilege now. Yeah,
that way. Just gotta get to this. Okay, can you see that?
we can. Yeah.
Okay, and then I just have to say slideshow, play from start. Okay, yeah. So our company is called Foodstiks. We specialize in disposable wood cutlery. When we started roughly 8 years ago, a lot of people asked us, why would that be necessary? They couldn't fully grasp the idea that plastic cutlery is not the greatest invention, even though plastic per se has brought us a lot of benefits. But since your focus is on environmental issues, I would think you probably understand that plastic can have a lot of negative aspects, especially when it comes to disposable issues. When you use something like a plastic fork for only 5 or 7 minutes, and then you throw it out, and then it takes 500 to 1,000 years to go away. That's not a concept that's sustainable. Plus, it's produced from non-renewable materials, oil and gas, and that's something we have to review also. One alternative to plastic cutlery is compostable wood cutlery. And that is what we do. Like I said, we're based in St. Petersburg, Florida. We're a women-owned company. We like to be on the innovative side. We made some improvements to existing products. We developed some products. We also won some awards for that, which we're proud of. And we have inventory on the East and the West Coast in order to supply food service operators, which produce the massive amounts of disposable waste in our sector. I don't think I have covered that, but like if you're not aware, the US alone uses on average 60 to 45 to 60 billion pieces of single-use plastic cutlery a year. If you calculate that down, it's roughly 150 million pieces a day of cutlery that's not going to go away for another 1,000 years. And it's also something that cannot be recycled, even though it says, or that's not recycled, just of the way it's made. The material itself could be recycled. That's why it says it's recyclable, but it's one of the 90% of plastic that's actually not being recycled. Yeah, so our cutlery is 100% natural, 100% renewable, it's 100% compostable, so it's chemical free, it's plastic free, it's made from sustainably sourced birch wood. We're composter approved. What that means is that it's a certificate that shows it can be processed in any commercial composter. But on top of that, since it's 100% natural, it's actually also backyard compostable. So if you would either forget it at the park where you had your picnic or the beach, or if you have a backyard compost and you would put it there, it would naturally degrade, which is not the case for a lot of other plastic alternatives. So yeah, we have two product lines. The standard line is something that was on the market already. We started with that because we said we're going to focus on making this even available in the US market in a scale and at a price point that makes it competitive with plastic. And then in the process, we made some improvements. So we developed our own shape that works better with certain foods. and also looks better. So we have a food service line that we promote to restaurants, college campuses, hospital cafeterias, mostly multi-chain, multi-unit restaurants and things like that, or also just caterers. That's the same for the standard. We have a dispenser. This is actually not an Outlook. We've already launched that, so I have to update the slide, but that took us a long time to develop that. With that, we're one of the 2 companies in the market that have a dispenser for wood cutlery. If you're not in a food service sector, this might not sound like a big thing, but anybody that has to do with food service knows that this is a massive thing, actually. Because if you start looking around now, the next time you go to the Tampa Aquarium, to the zoo, to Whole Foods Market, and you do some takeout food, or you eat anywhere, you'll see everybody uses dispensers. That's for 2 reasons. It reduces the usage of cutlery, which for them is more a cost factor than an environmental issue, but it also minimizes contamination. And since COVID, that's what everybody thinks about. So it's a nice hygienic way to do that. And in the compostable sector, there are a couple ones. For wood, there's only 2 currently in the market, and we have one of them. So why is wood the most sustainable alternative to plastic? Wood is one of the oldest resources humans use. It regrows. It absorbs CO2 while growing, and it produces habitats for wildlife in the process. Most of the wood product, it's a common misconception for people to think anything that's made from wood cuts down primary forest. That's not the case. Most of the wood that's being used anywhere in production, in our case, birch wood, which is also used for plywood, other building materials, is grown on farms because it's been used for centuries. And paper was a product for a very long time being used. There is a reduction in paper use, but the plantations are still there. So it's actually also something that's vastly available. Birch in general is a tree that grows really fast and matures really fast too. So contrary to other woods like redwoods in California, they don't grow for 500 years. After 60 years of life, birch trees usually fall over. And so in general, a very sustainable material. I already talked about the compostability and that it naturally decomposes if it ends up in the environment. Everybody has heard of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. We're in Tampa Bay, so pretty much anything that falls on the ground will sooner or later end up in the bay or in the Gulf. And that would not be an issue with our cutlery. So yeah, this is why I asked. That's usually something I talk to buyers about. We have warehouse on the east and on the west coast. We're competitively priced. We have many different packaging options. We have a dispenser, and we have a very sustainable, very functional product as well. Yeah, and that's my introduction.
This is awesome. I can't believe have you done the math? Like per person? What is the per person? You said 150 million. So what was
150 million a day. Well, in the US, you have to know that now I think it's roughly 60% of all food consumed is out of house food. So Americans buy food outside of their house. They don't prepared. Like only 40% of the food Americans consume is produced in their own kitchen. So a lot of it is takeout. It doesn't always need disposable cutlery. But if you go to Publix, Winn-Dixie, Whole Foods, they have a big growing deli section, and they offer disposable cutlery. If you go to a lot of if you go to restaurants in St. Pete, for example, Red Mesa Market is a fast food Mexican place.
The
They
speaker today,
cutlery.
What's
she's
that,
in
Mike?
Germany, but
Mike, you're unmuted.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I was telling my wife how excited I was. Hey, how long does it take the wood to disintegrate?
That depends. So, to get the certificate for something to be compostable, that's always in reference to a commercial composter. And they want it to decompose within 3 months. When it just sits in a backyard or in a park or on the beach, it'll depend on the setting. Like in Florida, in your backyard, it'll be gone within a matter of a couple months. In Chicago in the winter, for example, it'll sit there for much longer because in the winter the process is not the same because it needs like the little bacteria to eat it up. But in general, it's safe to assume that it disintegrates like in a matter of 3 months, but within a year.
So I'm in Seattle, actually. My wife got a salad from Wendy's yesterday, and it came with a packaged plastic fork, which we just threw in the trash. First, I don't know what to do with that packaged plastic fork, but boy, this would be a great substitute for the plastic that Wendy's and McDonald's and those people are putting out with their salads. Or
Seattle happens to be a market where a lot of change is already happening. There is the Seattle airport, for example, that doesn't allow single-use plastic anymore. Seattle in general has plastic bans in place, which surprises me that actually they're still using it. I know that there's time frames that allows them to use up their cutlery, but sooner or later, I think they have to change it out to something.
good.
It might be that they are going to go with a compostable plastic. Unfortunately, those don't. The idea is great. I love the like the process that comes with it. People thinking about alternatives. What can we do? Unfortunately, when you look at the trash problematic with it, the plastic pollution, they unfortunately a lot of times behave the same way. If they are not commercially composted, of which there aren't a lot of composters around to begin with, and the percentage that actually processes compostable plastics is very minimal. So it's a great step, but that's something that you might see in the very near future. But yeah, of course, like, and then you have companies like McDonald's and Starbucks. They already know people are interested, or they care about the environment. I think like the percentage of Americans claiming they care about the environment is like more than 80%. So they have sustainability pledges saying like we're going to reduce our plastic use by this and that much. And but the reality of that is usually different, but they like to put it out. So if people come and actually confront them and say, hey, by the way, by 2025, you wanted to reduce the amount of plastic you're using by this and that much. How's that looking? Because you just gave me a plastic fork. That would, that could potentially help.
What's the process for you? I can imagine there's only one question, which is what's the cost? Like, what's the process for you when you present this information? Like I'm imagining like, because we're right around the corner from each other, and I'm imagining my local Publix, like if I was to go and pitch this idea, they probably would come back with some kind of thing like, well, this is our corporate policy. We don't have a choice. We get them from anywhere. What's the process for you to ask those questions, and how do you approach that to say, hey, can you please consider doing this
For me or for you? I mean, if you
for
go in
for your
store,
company? Yeah.
yeah, it's completely different thing. Most companies, even if they have a sustainability pledge, they mostly care about the cost.
Okay.
And it's also, it's inconvenient to make changes. So it is a lengthy process. You do need companies to wanting to do that. Um, Even some companies with the best ambitions are not going to move forward with it that quick. A big focus for them is they look for other alternatives, but the cost is a big thing. That is a tricky aspect. Are they willing to actually pay more? Because a lot of times it does cost more.
And what,
Uh, and
like,
so, but
generally, what are the cost differences? Is that something you're comfortable sharing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So it'll depend. Plastic is such a wide range. I mean, you're looking at the plastic forks that you can't even eat your French fries with, that because it bends every which way. They're like less than half a cent a piece. Then you have a medium weight plastic, which is where we come in, roughly, which is between 2 and 5 cents a piece. And then you have a very fancy plastic that you buy in Target that looks like silverware, for example. That'll be like 18 cents a piece. So it's like, it's like I said, it's cents. It doesn't sound much. It doesn't make a big difference necessarily if you're buying for your next birthday party, for example, which is coming up. But if you are a university or a big campus of any size, or a multi-unit restaurant chain, it makes a big difference because they're using millions of it.
Mm-hmm. I think I feel like the chains, like you mentioned, the chains are going to be kind of all the same response, but I do feel like there's an opportunity. Is your marketing approach, is your strategy to go to the small businesses, nearby your home, places you frequent, and say to them, look, is this something you consider? And if so, how successful has that been?
That is hasn't been that successful, to be honest. That's how we started. I actually literally walked from restaurant to restaurant to restaurant to restaurant. And it's not necessarily on the forefront of people to think about. They think about their food. I'm not offering them like an awesome new cheese or a tasty tomato sauce that's comes in better packaging or is cheap or like more available or something. So it's something that is not necessarily on the top of their minds. um those customers we decided to approach more through an online presence, an online store basically, and Google Shopping campaigns. So when they're looking that to buy, they can order in bulk packaging. Our smallest packaging has 1,000 pieces of individual forks. And then everybody else, I mean, we're trying to get in front of larger customers. We're going to trade shows. We have one coming up that focuses on colleges and universities. They're on the forefront, I want to say, in the US in general when it comes to food service. They do have a great volume because they have usually any university will have like 5 to 10 different locations where they sell food, and all of them are using disposables. And they cater to the next generation that really cares about environmental issues, and they're aware of that. And then universities a lot of times have on-site composting. So it's like kind of like a double whammy kind of thing. Like they want to, and then it's universities. Like I mean, they're also businesses and they have to look at the costs and everything. But there's a little bit more ideology behind, they're willing to go the extra mile kind of thing. And again, they have access to composting. which is a big, big factor.
Well, I guess my last question might be a bit hard to answer. What could we do to help? And I mean we as in this group, but also we as in Rotary, but also we as in humans who care about the environment, which theoretically is a big chunk of the population. So if you want to answer it, I don't know, in three different ways, what can we do to help?
Right. So in general, I quite honestly, I don't know much about what you actually do on your agenda. We never got to talk about, so that would probably be a question back. In general, as a human, what you can do is probably a lot of things that you're already doing. Is like try and avoid plastic wherever you can. Especially single use ones. When you go and eat out, and you are aware every time you go, you get that piece of plastic that you have no use for. We usually save them a lot of time, but I tell them when I pick up the food, don't don't give me that. I don't want that. A lot of restaurants now actually offer, you can uncheck that and have no utensils. Sometimes they still put that out, but like before I take the bag out of the store, I take that out and put that back on their on that counter. Basically also like openly and vocally rejecting plastics. Like for me, it drives me nuts whenever I go to Publix. That's a large supermarket chain here for everybody that's not in the southeast. Whenever you get to the cashier, they ask, "Is plastic okay?" It's not okay. It's like I sometimes tell them that because, quite honestly, it pisses me off because I can understand the logic behind they're being told that because every single one of them asked me that. So it's corporate telling them to ask the customer, is plastic okay? How many people say, no, it's not okay, I want paper, or I brought my own bag? If you brought your own bag, you're not going to use either anyways. But sometimes you forget your own bag, and then like how many people say, no, it's not okay, I want paper. And even if they don't ask me because I bring my own bag, I tell them, why are you even asking that? It's not okay, it's never okay. It's a single-use plastic bag. Everybody understands these days that plastic is not okay, and single-use plastic, definitely not. So to be vocal about it, to actively deny it, there are more things that one could do. Packaging in general is a major issue. So there have been initiatives where people go as a group, like not as a group, but it's like when you go to the supermarket, theoretically, you could unpack your groceries right there. You don't need to bring all these boxes home. And it seems drastic. It seems like a lot of work. A lot of times we're not going to do it, but that's something that shows, that you don't want this. And that's something that gets eventually back to the producers. Because if you've noticed, if you buy, let's say, a bag of chips, right? They're packaging that in a bag of that is like, I can't even show, bigger than the screen. But it's like what you're getting is smaller than the screen. And they do that to trick you into paying more money, right? Because they're saying, oh, it's such a big bag, so I'm getting so much more. But on top of that, what they're doing, they're producing more garbage. So in the case of the chips, it's not going to work, but they're doing the same thing with with anything that shows people you don't want it. And then just stick to that. Bring your bottles, bring your bags, talk to people. If you have environmental organizations, support them, go and volunteer with them. But it's like more importantly, like, try and avoid to use it as much as you can and talk to people about not using it.
Good.
Mhm.
It crosses my mind, that if there were any initiatives that you were pushing for, or if there was proposals you were writing, or if there's anything you were doing in your business, um, that some type of visible or written or whatever kind of support could be of value, please, take that away. I'm speaking for the group here as people, but we could do something formally, of course, if there was something that we could do to help you. Personally, I'm quite driven to do this. Your success, from your business financially is great in and of itself, and so we applaud you for that. But your success is also great for all of us as residents of the planet Earth. And so, if there's something we can do to help, please don't hesitate to ask. If there's a letter of support or something like that we could do, I would jump at the opportunity to do so. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I have a very, I'm familiar with the Rotary Club because my dad used to be a member when he was still working. So I understand it's a networking initiative. It's also an organization that engages in social activities, usually more locally, from how I understood it. That's why I thought you're all in Florida. Um, so this group is focusing on environmental issues. Is that, yeah?
yeah, I'm more than happy to tell you here, or if you'd like, I'm happy to give you a ring anytime. And well, you're in Germany now, I guess, but I can give you a ring and tell you more about it. The short version is this is my interpretation of kind of the value of Rotary. This is not the official. We have to do well to do good. So Rotary, like you said, is an opportunity to network, but the real focus is looking at 6 areas of things that we can make changes, positive changes in the world. And then all of the clubs nationwide, there is no such thing as there's not a Rotary International Club. There's a Rotary International organization. And then there's a number of chartered organizations like this that are just clubs. They do primarily focus on local stuff. We're an e-club, and so we're all over the place. We have Netherlands, Ireland. Roy's in Georgia, but he's British. We have folks in Seattle, like Mike mentioned, up on the East Coast in Virginia, France. So we're kind of all over. But the one thing that binds us all together is that those 6 areas of focus, and we've taken one of those 6 areas, which is the environment, and made it our particular driving focus. So we're an issue-based club, I guess you can say, and so we focus on that. But the other ones are, access to clean water and sanitation and maternal health and education. There's a lot of areas of focus.
Polio vaccines, I
Yeah,
was a big thing when my dad was still with Rotary.
and polio. Yeah, everybody knows polio. That's one of the big ones, of course, over the last 70 years or so, that we've made some incredible impacts globally on. But I'm happy to tell you all about it anytime if you if you want to have a call. But yeah, our focus is primarily on the environment, and just we say eco-friendly to kind of keep it simple. But I think as I mentioned, there's kind of governance structure. So we're a small club inside of a larger organization. So we have a district, a Rotary district, and then the district is obviously part of the global family of Rotary organizations. And we can do a lot when we put our heads together and put our resources together. And so again, that's my offer. If there's something that we can do to help, I'm very much excited to find a way to do that for you and for your organization.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm happy to reconnect once I'm back in Florida. Maybe by then, also, everybody had time to actually like
Mhm.
process. When you make new connections, a lot of times you have to see like, okay, where does that actually fit in? So if you can think of anything, I'm
Perfect.
happy to connect when I'm back there. And in the meantime, I want to say I love that you're doing this. I know it feels so so how do you say, everybody should care about this. It's
Mhm.
sometimes it feels so frustrating that it's an issue that's being pushed aside, and but it's like, if we don't have this anymore, we're gonna go away. And quite honestly, like, I don't know how you see that. I mean, I'm not really that concerned about the planet per se because it's been there so long. I mean, the only thing that's going to happen is that eventually we're going to not be able to survive on this planet. And then we're going to go away, and then the planet's going to develop something new, and there's going to be other life because there's been other life before and things like that. So it's surprising that it's always been done. Yeah, the environment. But like from my point of view, we're really like fighting for our own existence, because if this planet turns into something that can't that we can't inhabit anymore, then that's it. The planet's going to persist.
I agree. My last thought is actually what brought me to you in the first place. So my last thought is there any opportunity for marketing? Because I think that's something to consider too. Like speaking for our club, like I can imagine, um, um, again, this is not an official offer, but like imagine if we could put, the eco-friendly Rotary Club on your wares. That would be an interesting thing for us to consider. And I imagine that there's probably other organizations that might be interested in that as well. So kind of the branding opportunity, but something else to think of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very good.
Anything,
Very good.
that helps us out talking about it.
Mhm.
It's yeah, thing. Um,
Yeah.
does anybody else have any other questions while I'm
If
on?
you if you had a stack of business cards, I would take them and drop them off everywhere I eat. I'll have to figure out a way to share. I'll have to figure out a way to share your information quickly. That's something else you could do. So if you could think of any way to do that, you probably already have, but if you could think of a way to do that, um, I know I would certainly share any opportunity that I could. I would share about your organization.
Absolutely, yeah. We have a video, for example, that shows how the cutlery is made. So I could share that, for example.
Yeah,
I'll send you an email.
fantastic.
So if nobody else has any other questions, I'd like to thank you for your time. I'll reconnect, like I said, once I'm back in Florida. I'm glad it finally worked out. I know it's like you had reached out a long time ago and we kind of dropped the ball. So I'm happy that it finally worked out. And then
Thank
looking
you.
forward to
Thank
speaking
you
again.
very much.
Thank you very much. Very interesting.
I still think you should try to get on Shark Tank.
Yeah, Shark Tank a lot of times is same with investors in general. They're very much looking for you've developed something new. So I know. It's if I had, for example, in that sector in general for like investors, material development is a massive thing. So if I had like a way that I can develop a plastic fork from algae or from an avocado seed or something, and then mix it up and make something from it. That's usually something that people like Shark Tank go after. I'm not sure if they would, if this would be some, but it's like from the experiences I've made, I'm not sure if that would be a big hit in their in their show.
Good. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you again. We'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Appreciate your time, Ina. Please enjoy yourself. I hope you have a wonderful holiday back home, and we hope to speak with you again soon. Everybody else, thank you for coming, and we'll go ahead and end it here.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you.
Take care.